The problem is this asshole just shot up the town. No, I didn't buy into this to blow people away, for Christ's sake.
We're here, ain't we? We're not messing around with townies or sitting in jail. We're here.
All right, come on. Did you get the food?
Sure did half of it anyway.
All right, half is better than nothing.
The guy's a maniac, Brian. He rammed the sheriff.
Damn right. Saw my duty and I did it.
Hello everyone, I'm Johnny, and today we're taking a look at Taps from 1981. This is an interesting film with a great cast, of course, and an interesting setting, which is a military boarding school. These two things alone should keep you interested, which is a good thing because the plot is kind of lacking with a few holes in it. But let's check it out. First, what is Taps? It's a bugle call sounded to signal lights out at the end of a military day, and played during patriotic memorial ceremonies and military funerals. The origin of the name is a 17th century Dutch expression, "Dood tap toe," meaning turn off the tap. Basically a signal to stop serving beer to soldiers because it was time to pack it in for the night. Taps for the purpose of the movie falls more in line with the memorial service use. In this instance, a memorial these students are trying to prevent, which is the closing of their school. The story of this movie is fairly straightforward. Condo developers want the land where the school stands, and the public are starting to view such military schools as antiquated. This is not an unreasonable dilemma. The popularity of military schools rises and falls in America regularly, and some of these schools are entirely privately funded. Military schools are a mixed bag in the United States, offering many different experiences. Many are quite prestigious, offering better resources and opportunities for students. Some are privately funded, some are partially state-funded, and some receive funding from the federal government and/or Department of Defense. Like in the movie, some of these schools offer enrollment for kids as young as 10, and many of these schools have proud traditions dating back to the 19th century. The closing of this particular school, Bunker Hill Military Academy, coincides with a tragic event, the accidental shooting of a teenager, in which the Academy commander General Harlan Bache is involved. Following this, General Bache is arrested and then hospitalized due to a heart attack, and it's decided that the school is to close immediately. This leaves the school student officers a dilemma: how to save the school from closure without the help and guidance of their academy commander. This is where the story develops some large holes. Many of the students are dedicated to becoming military officers after graduation. They are disciplined, and many come from military families. Yet the students perform an armed takeover of the school, which from the very beginning puts lives in danger and involves arming extremely young children, expected to guard the base against both police and regular soldiers. The plan is of course ridiculous, but what's most ridiculous is that these students do have contact with their parents, the army, and the police, and no one can properly negotiate with them and convince them to end their highly dangerous takeover of the school, which will jeopardize all of their futures. The teachers of the academy are further written out of the story almost entirely, having seemingly no influence on the students. You think if they did want to actually save the academy, they would have better relationships with the teachers. This is where the story missed out greatly. There's a lot of room in this movie for commentary on the institutionalization of youth by the military and military academies. The story could have chosen to have these children influenced by radical staff at the school, perhaps disillusioned veterans. Perhaps the school had a secret association with radical militia. Maybe there is a foreign influence in the school. Maybe there is even a secret student society with some extremist ideology. These sorts of issues do plague many modern militaries and would have gone a long way to explain the actions of the students. The film for a moment seems like it will lean this way. The academy commander certainly expresses frustration with the closing of the academy. Notably, the movie touches on the school's past at a baccalaureate service, where the names of the school's graduates, who went on to fight and die in America's historic wars, are honored. It's mentioned a few times in the movie that the school has a history of young men going on to serve and die for the country. I was expecting there to be a debate amongst the students about how they would be willing to do the same for the college, to honor these deaths. But at no point is there any real great discussion or ethical or moral debate around the students' actions. What this movie came close to being was a great question on the role of a soldier in America. Does America owe the military and service members protection against things, like the closing of historic schools? Do the actions of past soldiers grant current soldiers, or even soon-to-be soldiers, more rights than the average citizen? Or does becoming a soldier mean you give up more rights than the average citizen, with your duty not to your unit, other soldiers, or commanders, but to your country, and more importantly, the Constitution? These young men dangerously felt they had more duty to their school and moreover their general than to the American public, which is arguably the age-old danger throughout military history. This is how most coups and civil wars start. However, sadly, there is very little analysis of these themes during the movie, and it mostly just makes you resent the students whose objectives and motivations are rarely explored, beyond we want to graduate from the school we know. Ultimately, this makes the characters in the movie less likable, despite otherwise excellent performances from the young cast. Throughout the film, the acting should never disappoint, from George C. Scott to a very young Tom Cruise and Sean Penn. Timothy Hutton in the lead role as the cadet major is great as well. The young actors could have easily been asked much more of, and squeezed for a little more meaningful dialogue. Tom Cruise did all he could with his character, who is the more two-dimensional of the bunch. His character at the end of the movie suffers from some sort of psychological breakdown, which was completely rushed and mostly outside of his character development, forcing a sort of climactic shootout to wrap up events. Ronnie Cox, who plays Colonel Kirby, makes for a convincing officer, but again the movie presents many scenes where Kirby directly confronts our cadet major without any logic. You expect there to be some great debate on the purpose of the occupation, but nothing ever really comes of it. There is never even really any discussion about the legality of the occupation, and how the occupation has no realistic chance of keeping the school open. Overall, the film is worth watching, as the setting is interesting and does provide a sample of Academy culture in the post-war Vietnam climate. The movie is shot at Valley Forge Military Academy in Pennsylvania and nearby community of Wayne. If you can set your expectations for a movie that is centered around more frustrated military academy youth without a great political or social deep dive into military culture, you should be able to enjoy this movie. Alright, I'm Johnny. Thanks for watching. Do check out Taps and let me know what you think in the comments section. If you appreciated the video, do tap the like button. And as always, do take care and have a nice rest of your day.